Good afternoon, and welcome to True Crime Mysteries, where we take a dive into some of the world's most prolific crimes. If you're here for the first time, hello and welcome, and today we have a first, a Crime of the Month video up on time. In these videos, we have a summary of the ongoings of true crime for the month and put the most notable things into these month-end videos. We also have an update to a case I covered back in January, and if you feel I've missed anything, comment down below. And if you hear any stories in the month of April and you want me to cover it, hit me up on my socials and I would be happy to. Anyway, let's get into it. This month we saw several spring break stories, but this one stood out among the rest. A group of 4 men, while spring breaking in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, were confronted by a gunman while at a gas station. The gunman demanded them to give me everything you've got, and shockingly, one of the men made a move for the gun. A struggle ensued and the 4 men eventually subdued the suspect when a second assailant joined in to help. They got the gun away from the gunman and the suspects fled. The victims were all related and told press that it had happened so fast and they wanted to protect each other. One of the suspects were captured, however, the gunman is still at large. Police were able to determine the gun had been stolen back in 2017. The man is described as 6 foot tall, 210 pounds, with a stocky build, dark complexion, and dreadlocks. Police also wanted to clarify that you should never, ever try to subdue an armed assailant. The best thing to do is give the robber what they want and get somewhere safe to call police. New advances in genealogy are not only leading to arrests in cold cases, they are also helping to identify John and Jane Does. The same genealogy company responsible for identifying the Golden State Killer identified a man who had been found along the bank of the James River in Chesterfield, Virginia. The man was identified as Hassan A. Al-Bakulan. Police were able to find relatives of the victim and alert next of kin to the discovery of the body. Hassan had been missing since 2016, and police say there are no signs of foul play in his death. This month, we saw Jussie Smollett's charges dropped. In a very quick summary of the situation, Jussie Smollett, who was an actor on the show Empire, claimed on January 29th at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2 masked men beat him, yelled derogatory comments, and put his head in a noose. This led to a massive investigation which determined the suspects to be 2 Nigerian men. The men had previously worked on the set of Empire. They were later released, and then Smollett was the primary suspect. Smollett turned himself in and was charged. A grand jury indicted him on 16 felony crimes of disorderly conduct and fraud for faking a hate crime on himself. It was allegedly all conspired so that he could get a salary increase at Empire. But in a massive update, Chicago prosecutors have dropped all charges in the case. In a statement, they said, after reviewing all the facts and circumstances in the case, including Mr. Smollett's volunteer service in the community and agreement to forfeit his bond to the city of Chicago, we believe this outcome is a just disposition and appropriate resolution in this case. Smollett's record will also be expunged and the court record sealed in the matter. However, they maintain that the attack did happen as Smollett described, and Smollett maintains his innocence. It is still unclear as to why the prosecutors decided to drop the case. The police who were most shocked and surprised about this decision were the Chicago Police Department. Even the mayor of Chicago was shocked, and they said in a statement that he believed Smollett was receiving special treatment and that he described it as a whitewash of justice. The mayor and police department in their joint press conference were obviously enraged. Following the press conference, the internet joined the discourse. It is odd that if he was completely innocent, why did he quietly give up his $10,000 bond money and serve community service? Smollett's own accounts of the event contradicted with what police said they saw in CCTV footage of the scene. All in all, this story doesn't really add up, and I don't think a lot of people are buying into the story that Smollett is selling. Moving on, I found a good little story on Reddit. In France, for 30 years, Garfield the cat landline phones have been washing up on the shores of the Finestre beaches. Finally, this mystery has been cracked. Locals had long believed that a lost shipping container had been dispelling the novelty phones for decades. Beachcombers and locals described finding pieces every time they did a beach cleanup. It was actually a local resident who had kept the information to himself since the 80s who finally revealed the location of the shipping container. It was only accessible during low tide and was wedged in a partially submerged cave. They were able to recover 23 complete handsets with electronics and wires. However, the mystery still isn't solved. The French are now on the hunt for the ship that lost the container and to find out if it was only one container or perhaps multiple shipping containers that were lost. But for now, the catastrophe has been solved. And lastly, an update to one of my first videos. Gary Handlin, the man who murdered 12-year-old Monica Jack, has been found guilty. The courts have not determined his sentence yet, but a first-degree murder conviction carries an automatic life sentence with no chance of parole for 25 years. Handlin is now 71 and will serve the remainder of his life behind bars. A victim he had been convicted in sexually assaulting was in court to hear the verdict. When the verdict was read, she yelled at him, "And that goes for trying to kill me." At his sentencing hearing, the family of Monica Jack will read victim impact statements. Handlin is a predator, and good police work led to his conviction. Any updates in the story I will add in a follow-up video, however, his sentencing won't be for another 9 months or so. Those were some notable crime updates in the month of March. If you have any stories you've heard this month and you think they need some coverage, hit me up on my socials. I keep a running list and I compile it just for these videos. As always, thank you for watching. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos. I appreciate your support and stay safe out there. Bye now.